Hey everyone, it's Sam here from Sugar², and today I'm showing you how to make brown butter chocolate chip cookies. One of my favorite secret ingredients to use in the kitchen is browned butter. Browning your butter makes all the difference in recipes, and it's going to make such a difference in these chocolate chip cookies that I'm sharing today. Now, if you've never browned butter before, I'm about to walk you through all of the steps. It's actually very simple, so let's go ahead and head over to our stovetop and get started. Now, for browning your butter, you're going to need about a medium-sized skillet, and if you have one, I recommend using one that's a light color. A black cast iron one is just going to make it a little more difficult to tell once your butter's browned, so if you have a light colored skillet, you're going to want to use this. We're going to set this on our stovetop, and to this skillet, we're going to add 1 cup or 2 sticks of unsalted butter. Now at this point, all we're doing is melting our butter. We don't want to brown it yet, we just want our heat to be on low or medium low. We're just going to cook the butter until it's melted. You're going to need either a heat-proof spatula or a wooden spoon. Don't use a metal spoon or anything that conducts heat because the handle is going to get hot really fast. Once your butter has melted completely, now you're going to turn the heat up to just above medium. I mean just a hair above medium. Don't turn the heat up too high or you're going to end up burning your butter. Once you turn your heat up, just keep stirring the butter, and any moment now it should begin to sizzle and pop. Now once your butter starts sizzling and popping and crackling, you're going to want to stir it constantly. You want to make sure you keep that butter moving so that it's cooking evenly and so that none of it's getting burned to the bottom of your pan. What's happening here is we're cooking out a lot of that water that's in our butter. We're concentrating it, and pretty soon it's going to start browning and your kitchen is going to smell amazing. Now as you can see, our butter has stopped cracking and popping like it was, and it started to get a little foamy on top, but if you listen to it, it's not popping nearly as much as it was. This is where the magic happens. So at this point, keep stirring. You never want to stop stirring, and look for the butter to begin to brown. You might need to pull back through that foam a little bit, but if you can see it here, we've got a little bit of browning going on. I'm going to let this cook just another second. And it smells good too. You can smell, it's like a nutty aroma. That's how you know your butter is done. We're going to take this off of the heat right now. And this pan is still hot. It's going to keep cooking our butter. We don't want it to cook anymore, so I'm going to immediately pour this into a heat-proof bowl. So you can see that browning that happened on the bottom. We want to get all of that out of the skillet and into our bowl because that is what's going to make our cookies so good. A little of it stuck to the bottom of the pan, that's fine. You will know if you burned your butter because it's going to smell bitter, it's going to smell burnt, and the residue left on the pan will be black. If that happens, unfortunately, you have to start over, but right now we're looking pretty good. Now, one of the hardest parts about baking with browned butter is we have to wait for the butter to cool before we can go any further. You don't want to add sugar to your really hot melted butter, otherwise it's going to melt the sugar and you'll just have a greasy mess. So this is going to need to sit. I let mine sit at room temperature for about 25 to 30 minutes or until it no longer feels hot when you're touching the outside of the bowl. It shouldn't even feel warm. It should basically be back at room temperature. So I've given our brown butter some time to cool. It's no longer hot to the touch when I touch the bottom of the bowl, so let's go ahead and make our cookie dough. We're going to add 1 cup of firmly packed brown sugar to our butter. Now you can use either light or dark brown sugar. When I have both on hand, I actually like to use a blend of both. This is about half light and half dark, but that's totally not necessary. That's just a personal preference. We'll also add 2/3 cup of granulated sugar and stir everything together until it's combined. You can see those brown butter specks in the dough. It looks so pretty. Now we'll add 2 large eggs, and ideally these should be at room temperature. I'm also going to add 1½ teaspoons of pure vanilla extract. And once again, we'll stir everything together. So our wet ingredients are looking pretty good right now, so I'm just going to set these aside, and we're going to need a separate bowl for our dry ingredients. We're going to start by adding 2 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour to this bowl. To the flour, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of cornstarch, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, a teaspoon of baking soda, and 3/4 teaspoon of salt, and just stir everything together until the dry ingredients are completely combined. Once everything's nicely combined, just gradually add your dry ingredients to your wet ingredients and just stir until everything is completely combined. I'll usually add the flour in 3 or 4 parts. It just makes it easier to stir everything together. Now let's add the chocolate. Now you can use chocolate chips for this recipe, that's totally fine. You would need about 2 cups or a 12-ounce bag of chocolate chips. I usually use semi-sweet, but milk chocolate or whatever you prefer would work fine. However, since we went through the extra effort to brown the butter, I like to take the little bit of extra effort and chop my own chocolate bars. And the reason I do this is because this chocolate's just usually a little bit more melty, a little bit better quality than what you usually get as chocolate chips. So if you're chopping up chocolate bars, you'll need 10 ounces of chocolate, and you can chop the chocolate as coarse or as fine as you like. I like to do a little bit of a variety, as you can see here. We'll stir this into our cookie dough. This cookie dough is going to need to chill for 30 minutes before we can bake it. Now that's not only so the cookies don't spread too much when they're baking in the oven, but also so that the flavor can develop even further. And you can chill this dough longer than 30 minutes. It's great when chilled for several days. The flavor really develops if you let it sit that long. I'm just going to cover the bowl with plastic wrap and let this chill for 30 minutes. Before your cookie dough has finished chilling, you're going to want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I preheated my oven a little while ago. My cookie dough has been chilling for over 30 minutes now, so we are ready to go ahead and start scooping and baking our cookies. I like to use about 2 tablespoons of dough per cookie. Right here, I'm just using my 1.5 tablespoon size cookie scoop. I will link to this in the description below, and as you'll see in just a second, I just make a heaping tablespoon and a half. Now, just to make the cookies look nice and uniform, I always like to roll them between my palms to get them in a nice ball shape before placing them on my cookie sheet. Make sure to space your cookies at least 2 inches apart because they will spread some as they're baking. Now we'll pop these cookies in our 350 degree Fahrenheit preheated oven, where they're going to need to bake for about 10 to 12 minutes. You'll know they're done when the edges are a light golden brown. Now once these cookies come out of the oven, while they're still hot, there is one extra special touch that I like to add, and that is just a sprinkling of flaky sea salt. I'm just gonna grind this over the cookies. And this step is completely optional, but it does really put those cookies over the edge. It just makes them nice and gourmet. Besides, we've already browned our butter, we've chopped up the chocolate. We really wanna add that extra little touch, that extra sprinkle of sea salt. All that's left to do now is let these cookies cool completely on their baking sheet. Okay, so these aren't completely cold, but I cannot wait another second. So let's just take a look at these cookies. That is how simple it is to make brown butter chocolate chip, or in this case, chocolate chunk cookies at home completely from scratch. These are really, really gourmet, absolutely incredible cookies. I think you guys are going to love them. If you try this one out, please leave me a comment. I can't wait to hear what you think of them. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. I'm so excited about this. Hey, if you guys enjoyed today's brown butter chocolate chip cookie video, I would really appreciate it if you would give me a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Also, if you enjoyed today's cookie recipe video, here are a few others you might like as well.